Very often we all get caught in moments of fear. And Alexander the Great once said, "Man's immortality is not living forever." Every moment free from fear makes man immortal. Man's immortality is not living forever because that desire is born of fear. Every moment free from fear makes man immortal. When you break yourself of fear, your thoughts go on forever. But how do you do it? Because all of us start to think in terms of scarcity. Some of us actually make it to terms of abundance. Harvard Business School asked their students when they were graduating, what would you rather have when you graduate for a salary? Scenario A, and all dollars are constant. Scenario A is you make $160,000 upon graduation, and the rest of the students in the cohort on average get $150,000. Scenario B is you make $200,000, and the rest of the students on average get $220,000. What do you think they chose? 87% chose A. Now you would think these are some of the smartest kids in the world, right? You would think that they're brilliant, they're going to Harvard Business School, they learned about money, and yet they chose the lesser economics. Because they're more focused on having versus having not. They're more focused in terms of your win is my loss and vice versa, when actually abundance changes everything. Abundance comes from a place of confidence. Scarcity comes from a place of fear. Breaking yourself of that type of thinking will change your life and change your world. In life, we don't get what we deserve all the time. We get what we expect. Researchers went to a first grade class, and they tested all the students and did an IQ test. And in that IQ test, they asked everybody, and they told the teacher, you're not allowed to talk to the students about this. You're not allowed to tell the parents. We're going to observe you for a full year, and you have to sign a contract of confidentiality on who gets the highest scores. Of the 30 students tested, 5 got genius level, more than 140 IQ scores. 5 students. So for the course of the next year, they monitored the class. They monitored the teacher. And at the end of the year, they came back and tested all the students to see if there were any variations or differences in the outcomes. Who do you think got the 5 highest scores? The 5 genius students. No great surprise, except that that wasn't the true nature and subject of the research. The true subject of the research was that they lied to the teacher. None of the students the year before had actually been tested as gifted. Her expectation that those 5 students at a subconscious level, and she really did follow the rules, led those 5 students to get the highest scores. 2 ways to overcome fear. And these are from my personal experience in life, so this is not anything more than just philosophy of Robert. One is gratitude. I've found it impossible to be fearful and grateful at the same time. If I let my mind stop for a moment and feel gratitude, even in moments of despair and difficulty, it makes all the difference in my life. The next way to overcome fear that I've found personally is to be intentional in my decisions. Everything that happens to you in your life can either be the best thing that ever happened to you, or it could be the worst. It's about your perception of that. About 18 months ago, I had a terrible, humiliating experience in my life. I had left a wonderful job 2 years before, and I left because I was recruited by Warburg Pincus, a very large private equity fund, to become CEO of Bausch & Lomb Surgical. And the intent was to spin out that business and to take that as a separate business and really try to derive value from it. And it was a dog of a business at the time. It wasn't performing very well at all. During the course of the next year, we changed the metrics of the business. It succeeded. It did really well. After a year and a half, I was ready. Okay, company's doing great. Our employee willingness to recommend scores are really high. All of our scores across customer willingness to recommend are really high. It's time. Well, because we started doing so well and forecasted great growth, the parent decided they weren't going to spin off the business and that they could derive greater value by selling it to one party, the entire company. My hopes were dashed. I was broken. That night I flew home from New York City, very broken. I actually threw up on the airplane. And the next morning I woke up and I remember thinking, today can be the worst day of my life or it can be the best. It's up to me. I decided it was going to be the best. Later that day, I had an idea to create the first Medicare opt-out company in all of healthcare. The first company that takes no money from the government. I didn't realize how big of an idea that could be. It's a year and a half later, and Friday, just yesterday, I toured the Bausch & Lomb building. Bausch & Lomb was just bought by Valeant for $9 billion. I toured the Bausch & Lomb building and made a bid on the property in 18 months. What can your mind do in 18 months if you free yourself from fear? Nelson Mandela spent 29 years in prison as a political prisoner, having done nothing wrong except express his ideology and philosophy. Every day while they made him chip stone, he remembered one poem by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Each of us is the master of our own fate. We can overcome fear with gratitude. We can overcome fear with intentional choice. And our perception drives reality. In life, you don't get what you deserve always, but you almost always get what you expect.